Every Mamiya owner needs a Nala. This is Nala. Hi. Say hi. What do you have to say? Hi, I'm Energy, and today we're going to talk accessories. So these are some of the top 5.5 accessories that I think are really cool if you have a Mamiya RZ67 or a Mamiya RB67. And I think some of those actually are also if you have other cameras. Some of them are very Mamiya specific, but some little tips could be for any film camera that you have. The first accessory, and honestly, probably one of my favorite ones, is, drumroll, I don't want to move because the handle. If you have a Mamiya RZ67 or RB67, you know how heavy these are. They are very heavy. They weigh as much as a toddler, a puppy, a suitcase. I don't know. It's the groceries you all trying to bring in one run. It weighs that much, and I promise you that this handle is magic. I'll tell you why it's magic, because it's like the weight disappears. And hear me out, if you have one of these, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you put your Mamiya on one of these bad boys, it's like it's not even heavy anymore. And I'm gonna put it on right now. So you know that sometimes you have to hold the camera with both hands, and sometimes it's inconvenient because maybe you need to fix something that you're photographing, or maybe you need to reach for something, so it's not necessarily the most convenient thing, and this handle takes care of that immediately. I love it because this is a Mamiya handle, but they also make regular, like, not Mamiya brand handles, and I strongly recommend to get one of these. I think this one was like $30. It has a tripod head thing, and you just roll it in. You just roll it in and boom, you can hold it with one hand. Now it's cool because right here you actually have the shutter. So you don't even have to press the button. You see that the technology here is cool because it brings it all the way here, and when you shoot it, it will shoot the shutter. So this eliminates this whole entire hand out of the equation. I can fully just focus and boom, shoot the picture. And that makes life so much easier. I can hold it how I want to. I like this, instead of holding it with both hands, that I can hold it like this and maybe fix somebody's clothes or whatever it might be. I think it completely changes the experience of the Mamiya. The only downside about this is that if you are shooting in the studio, you're gonna have a hard time with the shoe for the lights, the pocket wizards. It doesn't necessarily fit. So this is definitely more of an on-location thing. I find myself when I photograph in studio, I still have to be without the handle just because the specific pocket wizard that I have doesn't fit in this area with the handle. My favorite accessory for the Mamiya is number 2. These things. So you already know this is one of my favorite accessories. You know I did a couple self-portrait videos, and I strongly recommend to buy this little Copil timer, okay? You guys seen me use this many times. I love it for self-portraits. Also sometimes in kind of when I shoot at home or different environments, and maybe I forget this guy right here, I use this as well just because it just lets the shutter go on its own. So I really think this is something you should have, especially now, as I said before, the pandemic, you might not have people to photograph, but you still want to use the Mamiya and use different skills. I think this thing is awesome. I think it's so cool, and the fact that it's so small, and I think I bought this for $15 on eBay. There's not really a link I can send you because I bought it on eBay from like a private seller, but I'm sure that you can find them. I think in the same arena, I wanna highlight this, which is, I'm sure most of you guys know, is a shutter release. Now, I think this is the part of the list which I can recommend not just for Mamiya users. I think even if you have a regular SLR, you can use one of those shutter releasers. It's not only for the Mamiya, it's really for any camera that you can kind of screw the timer in. And as well as this, I know you guys seen this a lot, and this is great for low light situations. And I think you can always have one of these in your bag and in your pocket. Because when it comes to shooting outside in low light, or if you're shooting portraits, environmental portraits inside, this thing really helps to get the perfect lighting. You can find even longer ones. You can even use that as a self-portrait. This is the longest one I found so far. I do want one that's like very, very long so I can take pictures of myself with the cable, but overall I think this is a really cool tool to have. And I think these are literally like $6 to $9, depends on what length you buy them. Now, the third accessory is, pause, guess in the comments below, what is my third best, okay, I'm kidding, third accessory is the Prism. Yes, it is quite the magnificent Prism. Yes, it is. Now, before I even talk about the Prism, I want to talk about the viewfinder that already is available in the Mamiya, which is the waist level viewfinder. And I do love it. I naturally photograph from lower angles anyway, so this makes it way easier, and I like looking down at the camera and kind of seeing the world this way. It also allows me to do these really cool overhead shots that I might necessarily not be able to do if I had a regular viewfinder. So majority of the time, a good 80%, I do use this kind of viewfinder. But when it comes to taking straight on portrait, like eye level portraits, it's really hard to do so, especially if maybe I don't have a stepping stool or something to kind of get on the height of the person, especially if they're taller than me, which is not that hard. I'm not that tall. It becomes a little bit tough to take these perfect portraits. So that's where the Prism is really clutch, because when it comes to taking really intimate, up close, eye level portraits, the Prism makes it really easy and cool. Now, I must say, it makes the camera so much heavier. Like, so I think this Prism is literally weights as much as half of a full camera. Now, you can also buy this on eBay. I think this was like $60 or $80. You can find different ones. There's also off-brand ones that you can use. Now, the tricky thing is getting them on. I'm still figuring it out. Boom. Now, I think the camera becomes even more sexy looking like this. I think it looks so cool like this, but it literally is so much heavier. The only reason I work out is to be able to move this Mamiya through the world. But just the fact that I can be eye level changes the whole ability of me to create intimate portraits and specific detailed images. So it is one of my favorite things when it comes to kind of getting more intimate images, which I think the waist level viewfinder does not necessarily offer. Although I do love it and use it most of the time, when it comes to specific details, I much more prefer to use the heavy Prism. Also, the really cool thing is that as you turn the orientation around, like if you go from landscape to portrait and portrait to landscape, it actually gives you marks, which are really cool. It gives you like these marks so you know where your frame ends and begins, which I think is also really, really awesome. For accessory number 4. Thank you. So this is more of an addition than an accessory, but this is literally just another film back. It's another 120 film back. And the reason for this is because sometimes in photo shoots, maybe you want to use different film stocks. Maybe you want to have one that has Portra 400 and another one that has Portra 800, or maybe you're experimenting with different lightings and you're shooting one back in a certain way and the different back in a different way. So I think it's really cool to have an extra one of these. Maybe you're shooting one black and white and one color. So it gives you the ability in one shoot to maybe take images at the same time, but in different film stocks. And I think that's really cool because you can experiment with different colors, you can experiment with different light ISOs, you can experiment with different, maybe even you use the same film, so maybe you use Portra 400 in both, but the way you expose them is different. So the ability to do that I think is really cool, and to have one of these in your bag just in case you do want to photograph in that way. I sometimes find myself wanting to shoot some black and white and also Portra. So I have one film that has black and white stock in it, and then another one that has film that has color film in it. These literally sell on eBay for like $20 to $50, depends what condition you buy them in. For number 5, so the 5.5 is coming from being one is a self-timer and another is a shutter releaser. I put them together, but really they're kind of their own thing. But tip number 5 and accessory number 5, which I think you should always have on your Mamiya, and honestly any film camera that's not 35mm. If you're shooting 120, if you're shooting medium format film, you always need to have this, which is thank you, tape. Why tape? If you have photographed anything 120, the whole licking thing, I just don't trust it. I personally don't trust it. I always have anxiety that if I put it in my bag and it touches something and it just opens and I expose my whole film, so it really makes me nervous. Now, I'm not saying bring this whole entire roll of film, this whole entire roll of tape. I literally take a piece and I put it on my camera just like this. Now, is it aesthetically pleasing? I think so. But what this basically allows you to do is once you finish a roll of film, you can easily tear a little piece of the tape and secure that film. This envelope style licking one is a bit unsanitary in my opinion. Also, it has this really weird taste. I think it tastes really weird. That's my kind of 5.5 accessory tips slash hacks, I guess, that I think any Mamiya RZ67 or a B67 user should have. Or some of the things, as I said, any person who shoots film, as the self-timer, the shutter releaser, the tape. Even if you're not shooting Mamiya, if you're shooting any 120 medium format film, I always recommend to have a piece of tape to kind of secure it. So all those things I think are really cool and really makes your life easier, which equals to creating better and more awesome images. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any of these accessories, or if you looking to buy one of those accessories. I think they're all really cool. And yeah, thank you.